Hey, Xiaomi here. So today I wanted to do my August wrap up. Now I know I haven't been filming as I usually do because I have been in a huge video slump. I haven't even been motivated to take out the camera, but I just said to myself, let me just sit down and just film because I want to get back into the feel of filming because it's something that I actually like doing. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start doing a lot more reading vlogs just so I can like get back into the feel of actually filming because it's something, like I mentioned, I do like doing. But you know, August has been hectic. You know, it was a very busy month and I started working again and it was just like insane. I don't work in an AC environment, so the heat has been also killing me, and it's a lot worse when you have like mental stress and like mental exhaustion than actually like physical body exhaustion. It's something that I find like a lot more difficult, and sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I come out of work, I take a shower and just throw myself in bed because it's that hectic. I have to admit, I'm not all that creative. You know, I'm not a insanely funny person. I mean, I make myself laugh and that's all that matters, but me, myself, and I am a very simple person, and you know, I'm not that hilarious to make skits. So you know, there are a lot of things that I really tend to not do because I'm like, you know what, I don't do that because it's just like, no. So I was like, you know what, let me just stay in my comfort zone because I know what I can and cannot do. I do love writing poetry, so I might start including those in my reading vlogs. I said I might, you never know. I also do tend to forget things. But without further ado, let's just get into August's wrap. Okay, so the first book that I picked up for the month of August was The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin and Anita Science, and I have to admit that I love this book so much. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It was just so lovely. It is this kind of book that makes you laugh, but it also makes you sad, it makes you cry. There are so many sad moments in this book, but there are so many characters that are just so beautiful. This coming of age story that was just so lovely that I love to read about. And then you have more beautiful and positive and loving parental figures. Vicente, I loved him so freaking much. I thought he was just such a beautiful and loving and caring father figure that I adore him. I adore him like so freaking much, and I loved everything about it. And I love how much he defended Sao and, you know, their bond that they have. Sao is another character that I really did enjoy his coming of age story and how, you know, he was dealing with a lot of emotions, a lot of things that were happening in his life. And also Sam was another beautiful character that I really did enjoy. And Fito, he was just so beautiful, you know, everything that he was going through, but yet, you know, he wasn't giving up. And that's something that I really did love about these characters. They were going through so much crap in their lives, but yet they weren't giving up, and yet they had this pillar, which was Vicente, and he was very strong and loving. And I love this book so much, and I cannot wait to read it again. And I highly recommend everybody to read this book. Benjamin Ladida Science has been like on a roll for me, and I just love his stories, and I cannot wait to continue reading more from him. So the next book that I picked up for the month of August was for the Tome Topper Readathon, but I have to admit that I really did fail that readathon just because I started working, so it was a little bit hectic for me. I don't remember if I finished the entire book in the readathon, but I do know that I eventually finished it, and that is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I have to admit that I really did love the further world building in this book, how everything tied in with the first and the second book, how you got, you know, the manifestation of these animals, can I say, that were being introduced into this world, and you know, where did this allomantic powers come from. I thought that everything was just beautifully woven and everything was incredibly discussed and presented in the story, which is something that I have to admit that was what intrigued me a lot about this story. I had there were other issues that I did have, especially with the pace. There was some unnecessary information. There was also things that were being dragged, and when I say unnecessary information, it's that, you know, information that happened in the first and the second book was continuously like being brought in this third book, and I was like, why are you saying that? I remembered that from the first, or I remembered that from the second book. But you know, I was okay with it. I wasn't too thrilled with it, but the pacing was something that really did drag with me. So I was honestly like rolling my eyes at times because I was like, oh my god, when is this going to finish? But the ending was very, very intense, and this is something that I have noticed from Brandon Sanderson. In the first and second books is basically like the format that he has. You know, he'll give you this world building, political intrigue, information, and you're just bombarded with it, and adventure that's happening in the story, and then obviously it dragged a little bit, and then in the ending, the last 100 maybe to 200 pages is when it becomes like really, really intense. There was like a fight scene that I really, really liked in this book, and then I was like, oh, what? but it was something that it was enjoyable, but not as much as I was expecting it for it to be enjoyable. Especially the ending was really fast paced, and I was like, whoa, can you like slow down? Instead of like explaining other things that, you know, were unnecessary for you to explain, the ending should have been like a little bit, you know, toned down. But I did love the character development that you had in certain characters. I also did enjoy other points of views that were being introduced in this book, so that was something that, you know, made it intriguing. But you know, I wasn't, you know, too in love with the book. Especially there are other things that I can't say because of spoilers, but overall this is a very beautiful and lovely and just unique and interesting series that I highly recommend for everybody to read. And Mistborn is always going to be my first and best book that I have read in the series, because Mistborn I gave 5 out of 5. The second one, I think it's called The Well of Ascension, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and this one 4 out of 5 stars. But overall, it's a very interesting series, and it's just so unique with all the Allomantic and the Mistings, and you know, the world building is very intriguing. So I highly recommend for you to pick it up and read it because it's very enjoyable. I also did pick up a graphic novel. It's called Monstrous. I really don't have it with me because it was lent to me, but I really did enjoy it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is a very interesting and entertaining start to a series, so I can't wait to see where else does it further develop into. I have to admit there were a lot of curse words for me, so that's one thing that, like, you know, took away from the entertainment for me. Okay, so the next book that I picked up for the month of August is one that I really highly enjoyed. And you ever have those books that people always ask you, do you have a feel-good book, like a book that'll put a smile to your face and that you're just enjoying that book? I never had that book. I never had a book where I was just content and just completely loving it and like it put a smile to my face, and when I was I would like feel myself like, why do my cheeks hurt? And it's like because I'm laughing so much. I've never had a book like that until now, and that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I freaking loved this book. It was just so beautiful and so sweet, and Simon is just such an adorable main character that I loved him so much. And I loved like also discovering who was his secret admirer with him, and even I was baffled as to who the heck it was. And the only thing that I can say is like, why the heck didn't I read this sooner? Obviously this is 5 out of 5 stars, and this book actually like got me in the kick of actually starting more contemporary, so I recommend this book to anybody. You know, it's just lovely and I love it so much. I can't stop gushing over it, and I'm gonna stop because I'm just saying the same things over and over again. And the final book that I picked up for the month of August was an audiobook, and I kid you not, I literally took like 2 to 3 weeks hearing this in audio format, because there were times when I was like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to that, I'm gonna do this. So you know, it was something that I was like, oh, like hurry up and finish it, and I really did enjoy it. I'm just gonna say one thing, and that is Crooked Kingdoms by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second time actually me reading this book, so I loved everything about it. This is 5 out of 5 stars. The only thing that I would actually like take away from the audiobook would be Willen's chapter, especially when he's speaking for Kaz's voice. I was cringing so badly because it was horrible for me. It didn't sound right and I didn't like it. Let's just admit that. I can't wait to reread this series because this is one of my all-time favorite duologies, and basically it's going to be like one of my all-time favorite series of all because I just loved it so much. And you know, I never in a gazillion years thought that I would fall in love with morally gray characters, and that's something that I've always said, but it's just so true. And Leigh Bardugo, you are the queen. That's all I'm gonna say. I love the audiobook. The only thing I would take away is because of Willen's voice, or the person who played Willen's voice. I don't remember who the heck it is, but it was just something that's very entertaining because you do have different people narrating the different points of views. That's something that I enjoyed. Well, those are all the books that I picked up for the month of August. I am currently reading a couple. I've already read 2 contemporaries. I'm currently reading one fantasy that I'm not enjoying. Like I want to stop reading it, but I paid for it, so I'm not gonna DNF it. But those are all the books that I read for the month of August. If I have to pick my favorite, I honestly can't, because it's between Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda and The Inexplicable Logic of My Life. I love those 2 books so much, and they're basically like on the same level. You know, they were just so entertaining. Like if I would have to say like happy book, definitely Simon. If I would have to say like a book that gave me like nearly all the feels, would definitely be The Inexplicable Logic. But that's it for my video. I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.